everyone, this is going to be the second holiday palette that I'm going to review here on my channel. I've already done the big Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette review, and I'll go ahead and link that down below in case you missed it. But today I am going to be reviewing the Urban Decay Vice 4 palette. Now, they come out with this every year, or at least they have for the past 4 years. And I've never been able to get my hands on it. So this is my first one that I have. I'm really excited about it. It did come with an outer packaging that is a black sleeve. Hippo is very intrigued by the Vice 4 palette, as you can tell. He's really into it. It's one of his favorite palettes. Can we get down here? I don't know. I smell like sea stars. It's okay. So it had a black like outer sleeve that was meshy, kind of like I saw somebody. Was it Jaclyn Hill? Maybe it was Casey Holmes. I don't know. I saw somebody that was using it as an iPad mini case. So if you have an iPad mini, you could use it for that. I haven't really used it, so it's in there. It's in the other room when I forgot to grab it. So it comes with that, and then it has this outer packaging. I like this outer packaging. As you can see, it's kind of holographic. It's got like a blue-green shift to it. On the side, it's got like a well, this is a purple green. I said blue. And then on the side, it's kind of blue. It's nice. This is an overlay. It's a plastic overlay from this black underneath. And so it kind of feels a little bit like it might be like brittle, cheapy plastic that might break off if you travel with it. I haven't traveled with it. I can't say that. But I don't know. I mean, it's cool looking. But I don't know if it's the most travel friendly because of that. It's also kind of a larger palette. As you can see, it's bigger than my head. As far as width though, it's very narrow. So that's really nice. Or it's, I guess, depth. I don't know. Whatever dimension you want to make this. It's really narrow. I don't feel like it's a really thick one and you're wasting a lot of space, which I really like. The other thing that makes it really great is this giant mirror. There you go. You can see all my setup. But as you can see, this is huge. And I lay it right down here and I can see myself. And I do my makeup with it. This has become my new go-to mirror. And it does have a magnetic closure. I also didn't mention that. So it's a pretty strong magnetic closure. It doesn't just like fly open, so that's nice. Also, I do want to mention, as always, it does come with a brush. It is a double-ended brush. So it has a flat shader, good for packing it on the lid, and then this really wispy, thin blending brush. I find if I use this flat shader to pack on my lid color, I get no fallout. If I use any other brush, for anything. If I use this brush, I don't get fallout. If I use any other brush, I do. I do like this little wispy thing if you're trying to just do like an accent color up above the crease. But it's very thin, so it's kind of hard to work with, and it's very long, so it doesn't have a lot of like structure. It has a lot of give to it. And it is kind of, as you can maybe tell, it's kind of like a duo fiber thing. But it's nice. I do like this brush. It's also really soft. So, if you hate fallout, then I recommend using it because I don't get fallout when I use this brush. Now, into the shadows. There are 20 shadows, as you can see. I think that a lot of times it's arranged in columns. I think this year it's really arranged in rows. Now, I have tried to use this row right here, this second row from the top. I think if I do that, I'm going to annoy y'all. Here we go. I have tried to use this second row from the top in one look, and it just kind of all muddied together. Now, if I kind of grab from all over, I don't have that problem. But I would say, I'm trying to find the best way to hold that. But I would say that this is how it's supposed to be used. But I don't know. I don't know how practical that is. So here we are. We have 4 mattes and then kind of a variety of shimmers. I'm going to do swatches of everything and we'll go into it. So I'm going to do swatches in rows because I think that's how it's supposed to be meant. So this first shade is Bones. I have this shade on my inner corner. It is the most typical inner corner highlight that we have in this palette. It's kind of like a taupey though, and it does have some shimmer. It is kind of a typical metallic finish. It does show up really nicely. As you can see in my inner corner, but it's pretty similar to my skin tone. It's right there. It's slightly cooler than my skin tone and like a little taupier, but I like that shade a lot. And this is really was the only thing that I could see as an inner corner highlight for the, well, there's a couple of things that maybe would work, and I'll get into that, but this is really the only like typical inner corner highlight that'll work with anything. And it's not super brightening either. Then the next shade we have is Grip. Now this is kind of a matte base with some silver glitter in it, and it's kind of a taupe. A taupey base with some silver glitter. It doesn't swatch super awesomely, as you can tell, but it's buildable. And there it is. It's nice. It's nothing super unique or special, but if you like neutrals, then it's one of the few neutrals that we have in this palette. The next shade we have is Deadbeat. This is pretty much the same formulation as Grip. It's a matte black base with some silver glitter in it. It's not a dry texture though. It's really smooth and buttery and soft. It does swatch slightly patchy, as you can tell. I have used this and I think it's pretty easy to work with, and I don't feel like it applies patchy with a brush, but it does swatch kind of patchy, and it really kind of has a matte look to it unless you get really close. Next we have the shade Beatdown, which is a really pretty metallic navy bluish violet shade. There you go. Now these shades generally are kind of disappointing to me because I feel like you do have to kind of build them up more. But it is pretty metallic. It's almost like duochrome, but it's not. It just has like a nice shift to it. But that's really nice. And you just have to realize that you're going to have to build that up a little bit. I have used it. This shade is kind of chunkier. It's like a metallic base with some silver glitter in it. It's the shade Pandemonium. It's a very deep purple that's like blackened. That's pretty pigmented. I know knuckles are the worst spot, so it looks patchy, but it really doesn't when you use it. It's a black and purple. So that's the first column. The second one is the pinky purpley shades. We have Framed, which is an orangey flesh tone. I use this to blend out my shades a lot. So it's right here. As you can tell, it is very close to my skin tone. It's a little warmer than my skin tone though, so it doesn't show up super well, but it's great for blending out these crazy colors. One of my favorites is the shade Fastball. It is very metallic. It is kind of chunky. Not as chunky as the shade Pandemonium though, but it's a very pretty corally pink metallic shade. And I have this on my lid today. Next is the shade 1985. This is a beautiful fuchsia shade. Very metallic. It's not chunky. It just applies so nicely. Very pigmented, but I have used this on the inner half and then this on kind of like the outer like I like to do, and it just blended together. So I don't recommend using these two on the lid together. Then the shade Underhand. Oh, I just stuck my nail in another shade. Oh well. This is the shade Underhand. It's almost like a less chunky version of Pandemonium. It's a deep blackened plum shade, but it is a little more purpley. So this is Pandemonium and this is Underhand. It's a little purpley, almost more red. And then we have, and it's a metallic finish. Then we have Harlem, which I have used this as an inner corner. It's a light lilac-y metallic shade. It's very pigmented and pretty. There we go. Now you can see it. I like that shade a lot. Again, you can use that as an inner corner. I have, but it does give your look a very purple feel. Now we're going to go to the third row, which is kind of the rows of greens. Then we have the shade Discrete, which is another skin tone blending out kind of shade. It's just a little more white. I usually mix these two together to blend out. I find for me, it's not quite light enough. It's right there. These three are kind of similar, but these two are matte. It's kind of cool toned and almost grayish. So like I said, I usually mix these two together to blend out, and then I don't use a matte brow bone highlight. This is the shade Grasshopper, which is a very vibrant Kelly green shade. It's a metallic finish, really nice and pigmented, beautiful. Then we have the shade C Note, which is kind of an olivey, dusty green. It's more bright than an olive. It's almost like a green toned silvery shade. Another metallic finish. Very pretty. Very pigmented. Very smooth in texture as well. Then we have Arctic, which is another one of those kind of chunky metallic bases with some silver glitter in it. It's a very bright kind of aqua shade. It's got more blue in it than the other two. But it's super pigmented and swatches really well and applies well. And last on this row, we have the shade Robbery. I have tried to use this as an inner corner highlight, and for my skin tone, it's too dark. It's a very metallic taupe shade, but it's a taupe that leans a little green. It's not really an olive. It's more of a coppery taupe, not coppery, silvery taupey green shade. So, there we go. Hopefully that last row will fit. And last, we have kind of the smack it in here because we don't know where else to put it row, if I had to be honest. We have the shade Bitter. I think this is, maybe I have used this once, but I don't think I've used this. And it's probably the only shade in this palette I haven't used. It is a very, very warm brown. Super pigmented and smooth and beautiful. One of, definitely probably the most pigmented matte. Definitely. I hate when people say that. Like, I don't notice it when I say it, but when I'm watching a video and people are like, definitely, probably, I'm like, no, 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 no. Those are contradictions. But probably the most pigmented matte. Then we have the chunkiest shade. That's also my favorite. I love it for a lid shade. It's the shade Flame. It's a very metallic shade with some silver glitter. My dogs are playing under me. Hippo, she doesn't want to play. Okay, yes, Hippo's a big fan of Flame as well. Just, it's insane. Just, oh, I don't think my camera's gonna pick it up as well as beautiful as it is. Hippo, that's enough. But it is, there you go. It's like, got a gold shift in it. It is like a fire shade. Flame is a really perfect name for it. If you are gonna go with Katniss Everdeen for Halloween, use this eyeshadow, Girl on Fire. I use it whenever I wear orange. Pretty much it's by far my new favorite orange eyeshadow. I just think it's beautiful. It has a huge impact. Alright, that's enough. Sit. Calm down. Alright, next is the shade Low, which is also really chunky and dry feeling. It's a matte, kind of satiny base with some silver glitter. And it's another taupe. We have quite a few taupey shades. Hippo, get down. It's a taupe, but it almost leans greeny. I don't know if it's just because it's beside the greens. It's not like that. It's darker. But you can see we have a lot of cool tone taupey shades. But it's very pigmented and pretty and glittery. But it is chunky and drier. Next we have the shade Crowbar, which I have on my outer right here. And this is also chunky. It's, Hippo, stop it. It's a very olive toned green shimmery shadow with some like goldy brown glitter. I'm sorry if y'all hate dogs because we're gonna have to put this down here. I'm sorry. Todd, he has some swatches. There we go. As you can see, this is really powdery and more fallout prone, but it's nice and pigmented and deep. It is a nice olive. I don't know why it wasn't on this row. But don't ask me. I didn't make the palette. And last is the shade Delete, which is a pigmented matte chocolate brown. So these Delete and Discrete are very pigmented, deep brown shades. Here are all the shades swatched. All in all, I love this palette. I've never had a Vice palette, so I'm glad I have one. I think these shades are, they're unique as far as an eyeshadow palette, not unique if you're talking about other Vice palettes. Again, I don't have another Vice palette. If you don't have another Vice palette, I think you'd be really happy with this. However, if you look at Vice palettes of the past, they don't have the exact same shades as far as the name goes, but this is kind of Urban Decay's general theme. It's a lot of jewel tones. I like that. I wear color. As I say with a lot of these color palette reviews, if you don't wear a lot of color, I don't know if you're going to get a lot of use out of this. You know, if you look at these colors and are inspired, then yeah, go buy it and you'll love it. I think the quality is great. I don't really think there are any dud shadows. I think there's a lot of taupes, but they're different. I don't think there's any shadows that kind of do the same thing, except for maybe Discreet and Framed. These two matte shades, I use them both as a blending out. Although this is much warmer and this is much cooler. So, I don't know, that's just my opinion. But besides that, they all are unique. They all have a place in this palette. Again, they do, if you try to go, oh, I'm going to do all, like this row and do a green look, they do blend together. So I don't recommend that. You're going to have to kind of mismatch. But I'm happy with it. I would recommend it, again, if you don't have a Vice palette. If you do have another Vice palette, I think you might feel like you already have this shade. Or if you have a lot of the big Urban Decay palettes, like the Urban Decay Spectrum palette, which was here for like 3.7 seconds and it sold out. I looked at that palette and this palette and I'm like, I just don't know if I could justify having both. So I hope that's helpful. I really like it. I've used it for, like I said, I think I've used every color but maybe one in it. And I don't feel like it's super powdery or anything, although now my palette does look a little powdery, but it's not like Lorac Pro or anything. I hope that was helpful. Every time I finish these videos, as I always say, I'm always like, crap, I should have said this, this, and this. I'm going to link kind of a whole product review playlist. I think product review videos are probably the most helpful videos that anybody can make because I can tell you my opinions, I can give you swatches, I can let you know every single thought I have about this palette. And then you can take my thoughts and decide whether or not this palette is right for you. I recommend it. I'm very happy with the quality. I love it. That's what I can tell you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already because it really means a lot to me. And comment anything down below because I love to talk to y'all. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me and I'll see y'all real soon. Bye!